Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Drink from My Cup with me, Justin, your host. Thank you for choosing to give your afternoon to learning about life. We continue with Chris's story. Charles's father's ending also ended the unity in his family. Charles lives with the heartbreak of big fights and divisions amongst his family that are tending towards being generational, as many of his siblings do not see eye to eye, and sadly, this has followed through their children, the late Semwez's grandchildren. It is normalcy in Charles's family for him not to speak to any of his brothers and sisters, and they also decided that their children should behave as though they don't know each other.
Don't fall in the pool.
This, he believes, would not be the situation if his father were alive, or had his life not ended the way it did. How many children did your father leave behind?
My dad left, he was quite a busy man. He was 16 of us, 8 boys and 8 girls.
Has the family managed to stay together?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. The death of our father created a certain, I don't know what to call it. We ceased to be a brother and sister. And now everyone just looks out to the other as, because everyone suspects, because our father's death is not concluded. So everyone calls the other. Even we who were innocently in school, children, we are all looked at as, we start looking at one another as accomplices, as the reason as to why he was murdered. It's bad. I have brothers and sisters that it's not in my heart to hate anybody. If God knows, if anybody could do a heart surgery and reveals what is deep inside, you'd know how much you love each and every one of your siblings. But you fear them. You can't even come close. You know, love and fear are different things. I could love you, but fear you. You know, there's so much, because we was taking so much hatred, the seeds of hatred have lived on. I can't come to your show and tell a lie. So that whoever is watching, and these are the things that they cause us when they do such transactions. Let me call them transactions. Because oli signing a deal nti batese mwezi bamwe million ngazi hizo ukitegeera. For him, he did his killing, he was paid. But you've not killed one person. You've killed his blood, you've killed his children, you've killed his... We live on with this thing hanging on our heads.
Why did this pain throw everyone apart? Because in my understanding, pain brings people together. And we've seen it so many times where in pain, people gather, families come together, even those who quarreled at that point forget about the quarrels. Why was it the opposite for you?
It threw us apart because it was not a natural death. It was a very suspicious death.
But why would it cause everyone to fear each other? Even you that were children, why are you being feared? That were almost children or young people when your father died, why are the older ones fearing you?
That's a seed that was planted by some of our mothers, and pointing pangas and sharp knives onto us. Some of our mothers were not very... they took this the wrong way and they used it the wrong way.
That's why I'm saying that it can't be just about the children.
So the children, all of us, the children became victims. We are all, that's why I can't judge any of my brothers and sisters. We became victims to this. They started painting each and every person that lived. They painted our fathers, they painted our uncles, they painted everyone in a different armor. This has destroyed, and we keep dying each and every day.
Are the 16 of you still alive?
Unfortunately, last year we lost one of us. Our dad's hair passed on. So now we are 15 left.
The death of your father's heir, it still did not bond the rest of the 15 that remained behind. There was no wake-up call, no self-reflection, no nothing.
That was the ultimate split of the family. Because he tried so much as a human. He tried so much to bring us together. He really did. Most of the times I saw Godfrey, he was not weeping, he was weeping literally. We would sit and you see the kind of insults that are sent to him. They date all the way back from our father. And he would break down and cry. Do you know how bad it looks when an old man breaks out in public and weeps?
How old was your father's heir by the time he died?
By the time he died, I think it was 40-something, 44, 45.
Had he tried to remain neutral to each one of you?
He did everything humanly possible. In fact, where he failed, that's when I realized, Charles, this thing, you can't solve your dad's death. It's part of you. Live with it.
How did he die? What caused his death?
He died in a strange way because he only fell sick for 7 days. From perfect health like you see me. And it's also another line of a story. He was admitted, they're not seeing anything. Just like that, 7 days is gone. 7 days, because even if it's a cancer, really, cancer doesn't take you that fast.
And it should be able to be detected.
Thank you, yeah. But from a moment of hospital to death, 7, and he passed on in a very strange manner. May his soul rest in peace.
Tell us about his burial. Was everyone there? Nobody said, I won't bury. Nobody threw a tantrum. Was everyone there?
We did. Because I almost was in the middle of everything. Why? Practically was like trying to bring all my siblings together. I was sharing everything. And for a moment, it looked like, this death has brought us together. For the first time, we sat all the 16 of us in one, all the 15 of us. And for the first time, we forgot our differences, We only focused we focused on our father, the late, and our father who had So, and we gave him an honorable send-off. And we thought this is a point of reflection until again the stepmother element came in, and this time it came in so strong. So strong.
Who's angry? Who's the angriest? Who's causing all this anger? Who's keeping everyone away from the peace?
There are certain things that are so embarrassing, but they happened. Do you know, we Africans, for example, we honor the dead. We don't apportion blame to the dead. And there's some traditional things that go on, like what do you call Okwabi Olumbe in English? Last funeral rites? In Africa, it's so central that we do what? We send off this person for good, and it comes after time. Justine, that's the time I saw what the death of our father, my father now, what it had caused in this family. Then I tested it live. For the first time, I still have messages when somebody is sending me, calling me a murderer and a sorcerer, then apportioning blame to another person, and then half of our family starts writing weird letters, addressing the other half of our family. I'm like, omuntu yatuttira taata waffe yatutta bubi. They did a quick, but the death, it's like the death of our dad was like a volcanic eruption that happens. Then there are these smaller volcanic eruptions. Then the children start dying each and every day. Each and every day. Each and every day. And this slow but painful death. Slow but painful. We die psychologically. We've seen some of us dying physically. Like Godfrey, who passed on in a very strange way. I've never appreciated the way he died. It was strange. According to me, if I was a P6 child, I would simply tell you that I'm sure that guy might have been poisoned. Because, together, and the things that were said and afterwards, which I don't fear, but you can see that they kill the head. And you see those families that you see in movies that were once flourishing, and they start falling apart one by one, one by one. So it's a recurrent death that is going on. And only God can come to our rescue. Only He alone.
Has anybody, a neutral person with no blood relation, not a former friend of your father or mother, somebody, some Samaritan, some neutral person that can be really seen as a neutral person, has anybody tried to bond your family and bring it together?
Yeah, we've had several counselors and several friends to our dad. Our uncles have tried, and they have honestly failed. But if you ask my honest opinion today, I would make one choice. I would rather love my brothers and sisters but stay away from them. Because I fear them. I love them, but I fear. It's okay to fear. I don't want them to come close to my children, much as they don't want me to come close to their children. And why am I saying this? Whoever is watching and is planning to kill another person, see what they've done to us. See how they've destroyed us. See how you've destroyed. You thought you were killing Semwezi, but Semwezi is still dying each and every day. Each and every day.
Did you grow up together under one household with one mother, or everyone grew up with their biological mothers?
From the time my father was murdered, the element of woman set in. First,
before you had grown up,
we were one like this,
in the same house.
loving.
You had grown up
together, loving one another, and that love was real.
As Charles struggled with the pain of his late father's murder, he found solace in his childhood best friend, Brian Bukenya. Brian and Charles had been best friends since their primary school days at Budo Junior School, and later on, King's College Budo, where they both served on the prefectorial body, played rugby, and generally enjoyed the same hobbies. The easiest way to find Charles was to find Brian, because they were inseparable. Charles says at some point he was almost confident Brian had become the younger version of his father. Charles sought Brian's counsel on each and everything in his life. He called on him when he was feeling low and when he had good news to break. He saw his father's love in Brian's eyes and actions. Charles was taken quite out of the blue when he learnt of Brian's death. He wondered why the two most special men in his life would both be taken in less than 10 years. Brian's death took Charles right back to where his father's death left him, at a place of incredible pain and emotional breakdown. Late Brian Bukenya was the son of Uganda's former Vice President, His Excellency Gilbert Bukenya. Brian, an Oxford University law graduate, an advocate of the High Court, and soldier, while returning from military training with colleagues, died in a car accident whose circumstances caused so much controversy nationwide. In part 2 of this story, Charles reveals what he knows about Brian's death and what it meant to his life. Charles drops another bomb, his mother's death, how he has managed to live with these major losses, finding healing in his acting career, and how his beautiful wife got him to a place of forgiveness and peace. Do not miss part 2 of this story as we drink from Charles's cup.